Flavor of the month, Michelle Wolf got canceled. If you don't know who Michelle Wolf is, she is a comedian. She performed at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I believe, we'll read through the article, where she said a bunch of really shocking things that pissed a bunch of people off, and then other people didn't care. And I gotta be honest, I don't know a whole lot about it, other than there was a big hubbub that I thought was totally irrelevant and didn't care about. Apparently, she was mocking Sarah Huckabee Sanders' appearance, and the right said, how dare you body shame or whatever. And to me, it just felt like a bunch of dumb political posturing for the most part. I find Michelle Wolf to be not particularly funny. I have no real issues with her for the most part, don't know a lot about her, and you'll find that when it comes to me, I don't care if Michelle Wolf does her thing and has a TV show. I'm just not going to watch it. It's really that simple. I'm not going to complain that Netflix gave her a show. When I turned on Netflix and saw the big banner for Michelle Wolf, I was like, next? That's literally, and no beef. No, I got no issues with Michelle Wolf. I'm not going to watch her show. That simple. There's a lot of, people complain on the left and the right about not being diverse enough or, having shoehorned in social justice. And my attitude is just like, dude, if you think a show is bad because it's not diverse, just don't watch it. What are you complaining about? And if you think that they shoehorned in some characters so the show is bad, just don't watch it. So I listened to a little bit of Michelle Wolf's show and I thought she was just, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I found her rather annoying and unfunny and just didn't want to watch her show. And there was a segment she did about abortion that really kind of freaked me out. Some other people have talked about this, like Matt Christensen, I think that's his name. Forgive me if I'm getting your name wrong. He did an episode about this, which I watched a few months ago. First, let's talk about getting her show got canceled in less than 3 months. And I want to talk about the flavor of the month phenomenon and what happened with Michelle Wolf, why this was a problem. Then I want to talk about some abortion stuff. So Netflix officially pulled the plug on her talk show, The Break, with Michelle Wolf. The comedian made a name for herself early this year at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where her monologue received a mixed reception, especially for her jokes targeting Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who attended the event. Wolf had previously appeared as a correspondent on The Daily Show and a writer for Late Night with Seth Meyers. Wolf's controversial brand of comedy continued at Netflix, which debuted shortly after the White House Correspondents' Dinner in late May. I wonder why. She compared First Daughter and White House advisor Ivanka Trump to herpes, made a satirical video linking ICE to ISIS while impersonating DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, and celebrated abortions in honor of Independence Day with a parade and marching band. That's the one I really want to talk about in a second, because I gotta say, man, as someone, I'm a lifelong liberal, my politics shifted from the far left to more, left of center, more in line with a lot of liberal policies, pro-choice, all that stuff. But goddamn, if you really want to put people off in terms of being pro-choice, do what Michelle Wolf did. That segment she produced actually made me question whether or not pro-choice is the right answer. And I'm not the only one. Again, I watched Matt's video on this, and he expressed something similar, that when you see someone so, I'm going to say it, that segment she did was vile, just absolutely vile. I was just like, Jesus, wow, my God. Ultimately, there's political reasons why I'm a pro-choice person, and we'll talk about that in a second, but let's talk about, we'll finish this article. Her show aired weekly and lasted 10 episodes. The last one airing July 29th, Wolf has yet to make a public statement on her show's cancellation. The Hollywood Reporter reported that Netflix also canceled Joel McHale's show, The Joel McHale Show, which premiered in February. Netflix has mixed results in late-night programming. David Letterman's program, My Next Guest Needs No Introduction, appears to be doing well in comparison to Wolf and McHale's programs. Meanwhile, the streaming service also canceled Chelsea Handler's talk show, Chelsea, last year. Daily Show alum Hassan Minhaj is set to debut his show Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj on Netflix this fall, along Norm Macdonald has a show, and The Fix, yada, yada, yada. Okay, look, I'm going to tell you why Michelle Wolf got canceled. If her show was good, she would have survived. But the issue is, she is what's called a flavor of the month hire. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. Back during Occupy Wall Street, I did this live stream and it got a ton of attention. I was featured in Time Magazine. I was featured in Time's Person of the Year, 2011. There were 6 video features. The Person of the Year was the protester. One of 6 was a feature on me. They nominated me for the Time 100. For whatever reason, Time Magazine thought that what I was doing warranted me to be considered one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Now, in the end, I didn't make the list, but out of 200 nominees, I was a Time 100 nominee, not an official editorial pick. I don't know why they thought that was the case, but they certainly did. So, hey, great honor. When that happened, I had every company in the world saying, Tim, we want to hire you. What would you like to do? I had the guy who did like Obama's book reached out and said, we want to do your book. We're going to ghostwrite it. We're going to sit down, talk about everything you're doing. And what they wanted to do was capitalize off Occupy Wall Street. But in order to do so, you need a personality. You need someone that can personify some kind of message. The first problem was I don't align with Occupy Wall Street and never did. I'm particularly anti-authoritarian, so when you had this weird regressive authoritarianism happening during Occupy, I told them to fuck off. And so I don't want to be a part of your group. I don't want to be a part of anyone's group. I'll sit back and watch what you're doing, and then I'll talk shit. And that's being a journalist. For the most part, I'm rather tame in a lot of my reporting. But when I went to Occupy Wall Street and started streaming about stuff, what is. That's about it. This is what happened, and that's what I'm going to tell people what happened. I don't care if you're right or wrong. I don't know what's right or wrong. So then these companies kind of adapted and said, oh, you're a journalist. What if we gave you a segment on a news program and you could be like a correspondent on the ground doing these things? And they wanted to give me these shows. They offered me TV shows. They offered me sponsor deals. And you know what I did? I said no to all of them. Now, in business, you don't say no. You say yes, but. Right? I always tell people the answer is not no, right? So if someone came to you right now, called you up on the phone and said they represented McDonald's and they wanted you to work the cash register starting tomorrow, we want you to work the register at our McDonald's location in, New York. What would you say? Most people would give you the wrong answer. They would say no. No is the wrong answer. The correct answer is how much? Because what if they said, we want you to do this really awful job and we're going to pay you 30 to 50 bucks an hour? Well, you might consider operating the register at McDonald's at least for a short amount of time if they're going to pay you 30 bucks an hour to do it. That's not so bad. Maybe they want to pay you 100 grand, a six-figure job. And if you don't want to do it just because you really don't want to do it, then figure out what that number is. So if McDonald's came to me and said, Tim, we want you to work the register, I'm going to say no. Why? I'm doing fine. But if they said, we'll give you $1 billion, I'd be like, ugh. How long do I got to work the register for? It's all about the exchange of value. So I said no to these people for the most part, but what I really said was I will do it if you grant me these guarantees, stipulations, things that nobody really wanted to agree to, because I don't want to be a flavor of the month hire. Well, after Michelle Wolf got this big political controversy around her name, Netflix probably said, hey, look, she's a comedian. She's getting all this attention right now. What they're hoping is, as her profile is rising, they give her the show and her profile goes up really quickly and they can capitalize on it. But most of the time, a flavor of the month is going to crash and burn because they're only relevant due to controversy or some press event. My mentality over not taking these opportunities was that I knew exactly what was going to happen. Yes, you're giving me all this attention now because you like what I did this one time. I'm going to do something else. I also don't want to shoehorn myself. So you know what I did? The next month, I launched a drone from Occupy Wall Street, and that got a ton of press attention. And I was featured in magazines for launching one of the first live broadcasting aerial drones, period. I actually believe I may be the first person to do a live news broadcast via drone. I could be wrong, but I don't know if anybody else was doing it. And so I got a bunch of stuff written about me, and to this day, there are people who have no idea that I'm a journalist. They just think I'm the drone guy. So I did a series of things, and ultimately I felt if I keep doing things over this next year and generate enough attention, maybe I'll actually have a career worth taking a job. And then a year and a half or so later, I joined Vice. And that was the point. Michelle Wolf took a flavor of the month hire. She probably got paid a decent amount of money for 3 months, and maybe it was worth it. But now where is she, and what's she going to be? That's about it. That being said, let me talk about why I personally really don't like her. And we have this from Vox. It is, watch Michelle Wolf performs a salute to abortion on the break. I'm not going to play this. I'm not going to talk too much about it. But I want to mention that this segment is basically her being pro-abortion. And I don't want to be hyperbolic, right? So I always felt like pro-choice was, for the most part, someone recognizing that abortion is something you just don't want to have to do. Like, it's a painful thing for most women. As far as I understand, I'm not a woman, but most of the women and most of the stories I've heard about it, it's a very painful and difficult thing to have to go through. It's costly, it's stressful, it's terrifying, it's just overall not good. It's really bad. And in a lot of instances, when it comes to pro-choice, the fact that women have to make that choice, or they have to sit down with their significant other and try and have to decide if they're going to do this, to me it was always viewed as it sucks. It's terrible, and it's always morally wrong. That's plain and simple. You know that it's wrong to do. You know you're taking this choice. You're doing something morally wrong. But there's a reason why you have to do it, because you have to weigh the reality of the world. And there are a lot of instances where it has to be done. The health of the mother, of the woman carrying the child, there's a lot of issues. Economic reasons, although in my opinion, probably not the best reasons, are a factor. And ultimately, I don't know what's right or wrong because it's a really heated issue, but I know that I'm really conflicted on it. And the only reason that I really fall into the pro-choice side is simply because I don't want to get into the full argument on pro-life, but I certainly could. And it's mainly that the government having the ability to mandate one person provide their bodies to another person. Granted, by all means, comment below and let me know why you think that's wrong. But we're not talking about murder in the sense that someone would point a gun at somebody else and pull the trigger, so much as sometimes things happen that are a mistake. People might do everything in their power to make sure the pregnancy doesn't happen. Sometimes it happens. And there's a lot of instances where I think it's just easier to err on the side of choice than restriction. And it's complicated. It really is. Don't get me wrong. I've been conflicted on it. But the point I want to make is that I saw this segment because people were talking about it. And her attitude towards it is so ambivalent that it really, I gotta say, there is a libertarian argument, there's a moral argument, there's a left believes that they're not, in the segment she says you're not killing a life so much as preventing one from happening. But when you see the absolute ambivalence towards what is a life, which is the creation of new life, it makes me feel like it's almost like black propaganda, okay? So if you're not familiar, black propaganda is when you pretend to be on one side, but you're actually on the other side. So for instance, if in this, well, this is a good example, where she claims to be pro-choice, but then is so vile in terms of being pro-abortion, it would actually scare a moderate person into wanting to advocate for more pro-life positions because of just how extreme she is. That's black propaganda, although I think she's genuine when she's saying, just salute abortion, go get an abortion. When you see things like Lena Dunham saying she wished she had an abortion, that kind of rhetoric is scary to me. Because again, I'll say it, in my world, when I talk about the idea of being pro-choice, it's always begrudgingly pro-choice. It's always like, I can't believe we have to do this, but it might just be the right thing to do. And I really don't know. But I err on that because I ultimately don't know what's right, but I just don't like the idea of more government authority in these matters, and it's a very complicated issue. But then when you see Michelle Wolf and this segment, I was like, ugh. I have to imagine there's a lot of people who are moderate, who are leaning pro-choice, who went pro-life after seeing this. I'm not going to play the segment, but I don't know, that's about it. I was going to basically just talk about Michelle Wolf, why I don't like her for the most part, and that her show got canceled. So anyway, a couple more videos, maybe one more video coming up in just a second. We'll see what happens, but I'll see you in a few minutes.